A use case came up with one of my clients this week where they wanted to uh, basically, whenever a record was created, they wanted to override the name field of that record. So let's just put it in concrete terms here. Let's say you have an opportunity, and every time an opportunity is created, you want to default the name of the opportunity to be uh, the account name, a space dash space, and then the stage. It's just something simple like that. Maybe the date thrown in there too, but essentially the stage is the part that I want to key in on, right? So stages for most of us, when you create stages on opportunities or any other pick list for that matter, you create the values, you just paste in a list of values that you want to use there, you click save, and the label and the API name match up 100%. Good to go, right? So when you use it in any kind of automation, you don't know if you're getting the label or the API name. It doesn't matter because it's the same thing and you just move on with your day and everything is good. In this particular case, they had the labels of their pick lists as one thing. And then because they were using some integration and they were pushing values back and forth between an external system, the API names were completely different and very clunky looking and not something that they wanted to expose to the users. So to address the use case, they basically created a record triggered flow so that whenever an opportunity was created, it would grab the account name, it would try to concatenate it with the stage name. And instead of seeing the nice, pretty label that they were used to seeing through the UI, they were seeing the API name. All right. So we went down this kind of rabbit hole of, well, how in a record triggered flow can you get the value of the pick list versus the label of the pick list versus the API name of the pick list? That is as Ryan mentioned, the hard option that you basically build it one time and then it should work for any pick list on any object going forward. And that's what I was actually going to walk into through right now, just to kind of show people how that you would do that. No, I don't think that there is. So what I'm going to do, let me share my screen and we'll walk through this example real quick. But basically the way I wanted to kind of tee this up, right? I just created a basic flow that we have here, and it's a screen flow. I passed in record ID, which is actually an account record, right? So when we debug this, I can select an account that we can use as an example. So in this example, forgetting the opportunities for a second, I just wanted to kind of demonstrate what this looked like when you see a picklist value through a flow, right? So if we debug this, I select an account, I click run, and it's going to show me two sections here. I got the top one, which is when you create a screen flow, you have that tab where you can select fields. So I did that for the top section here, and you can see the nice label for the rating. But if we actually use the value itself, like actually put in a display text element and we drag in the field name from that account directly, you can see it's putting the API name. And the API name has a prefix here, a numbered prefix. That's what my client was trying to do. They had number prefixes and all these different API names for their pick list. So again, just to take a quick aside, show you here. So if we go to our account object, we go to our fields and we look at our rating. This was the one that I was trying to, or essentially this is what we're working with here. So we got the nice labels here with the rating, and then they have some weird complex API name that they would not want to expose to users as the API name, and that's what we're trying to get around here. So the way that I accomplished this, or the way that I went and I tackled this, was to go, instead of trying to hard code this into any one flow, like the flow that I needed it in, I actually created an auto launch flow that would make it scalable, that we could then leverage it anywhere that we needed it, right? So what we'll do is we'll go to new flow. We will do an auto launch flow, no trigger, go. And then before we even get started building anything, I'm going to put a few things here that we're going to pass into this flow. So a few variables. I'm going to do object name. So we're going to pass in whatever the object API name is that we're trying to get. We're going to pass in another variable. This is going to be the field name. So rating. So object name would be like account. Field name would be the rating field available for input. And then the third thing that we're going to pass in, another variable. This is going to be the picklist name. That would be or picklist value name, just to be clear here. So this is the picklist value name, like the API name that we're going to be passing in. All right, that's going to be text as well, available for input. All right, and then there's essentially three queries that we need to do here. And the first one is intuitive, and then the second two are complete nonsense that, again, you just do this one time with the nonsense, and then you don't have to worry about it again going forward. But first thing that we're going to do is do a get records, and we are going to get, and I'm going to cheat here, jump over here. We are going to get our get object definition. or entity definition is going to be what we're grabbing here. So get entity definition, that guy. All right, so the object is entity definition, and we're going to get all entity definition records where, and I believe we're going to grab where the name or the qualified API name is. So qualified API name is equal to, and this is where I'm going to shrink you all so I can't see you. Qualified API name is equal to the object name that we passed in. All right, and we always want to get the first record, and we're good to go. Now, so again, we got the entity definition. This is the object. And then step 2 is we now need to use that, and we need to get the field definition. So we're going to look for an object called field definition. So we'll do get records. So get field definition, and if we look for field definition, we can find it. And this is the first part where it is completely unintuitive, at least in my mind. All right, so when you have to figure out what, like search for fields on the object that we got. There's 2 things we have to do: entity definition ID, and then we have to use the durable ID from that first get that we had. That's the part that I found not intuitive at all. So this is entity definition ID. We're going to find all field definitions where the entity definition ID is equal to, I'm going to have to move you all again, is equal to the entity definition durable ID. Again, I don't know what the hell durable ID is, but that's what we have to select from that first get that we had. And then the second piece, if we look back here, this is the qualified API name. So we're back into the qualified API name. That's the field API name. So qualified API name is equal to the field name that we passed in. All right, so that's that gets us the field. And now we need to be able to get, as Ken mentioned, the final step here is this PicklistValueInfo object. So we do a third get. So get records. This is get picklist value. And if we just look for a picklist, that'll get us close. So we want to find all picklist values where, and again, this is the unintuitive part, this durable ID thing. So the entity particle ID, whatever the hell that is, but entity particle ID is equal to the field definition's durable ID. So again, this is where I'm saying it's not intuitive, because if it was like where the picklist API name or whatever is equal to the field, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, this particle versus durable, whatever. But that's what it is. And then this is where we could pass the value in as well. So we do add condition, and we're trying to find where the value is equal to the picklist value name. All right. So that'll get the item. And then the last thing that we want to do in this subflow, which I'm going to save before something catastrophic happens, this is going to be get picklist label from value. So the last thing that we're going to do is create a new variable called picklist label text. I don't know, whatever, right? And this is going to be a type text available for output, right? So what I'm going to do here is now that we found the picklist record that we needed, we are going to set the label for return, and we're basically just going to set the picklist label text equal to this picklist value info dot label. All right. I think it's labeled. Let's just double check here. Display text, dot label. Okay. So that should do it. So I'm going to save this. We're going to activate this, and then we'll give it a whirl. And actually, before we activate it, let's just do a quick debug here. So we're talking about the object name. This is going to be account. The field name is going to be rating. And one of my values, if I remember, 50-hot. 50-hot. That's the API name. So if we run this now, I would hope that go to the end, no errors. And if we look at the details, there we go. We got the label hot. That's what we were looking for, right? So we'll activate this. And if we go back to our screen flow now, so if we look at our screen, I mentioned that we use the field tab option up here. That's this thing, and that gives you the nice label. But when we want to display it into a regular display text, where I just pass in the rating, that's the one that's not giving us, what we need. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just save this real quick. We'll refresh just so that if it's not going to recognize that new flow that we just created, it'll hopefully do that. And before we go to the screen, we will call that subflow. So do subflow. I've already forgotten what I called the thing. Get picklist, I think. Yep, get picklist label from value. So again, this is going to be get my account rating label. All right, and then the things that we're going to pass in, all three, just like we did before: field name, rating, object API, account, And the Picklist value, this is actually going to be the record ID's rating field. So the current one that we were displaying. And then now that we call that subflow, it should return our nice label to us. And if we just go down here to right here, we'll put it right under it. Why not? We're going to insert this is going to be the output from our flow label text. Done. And now if we debug, save and debug, and we select our account like we had, G point and run, we should now be able to see both. There you go. So it would have been just the API name if we used it directly, but we pass it to our subflow and we get the actual label back. And like I said, the nice thing about this is in your org, if this is something that you do working with Picklist values in your flows a lot, doing concatenations and stuff like that, you just need to create this one time. You create this flow, and then basically in all the flows that you need it, you can call that and reference it, to grab whatever values you need.